protocol, just one slide about the protocol, must be registered before you study the review. So PROSPERO, this International Prospective Register of Systematic Reviews, is the largest database of protocols of systematic reviews. It's for free. Everyone can go there and register. If you're doing a Cochrane review, you don't need to do that because first the protocol is published in the Cochrane library and then automatically is also reported here in PROSPERO. But if you are doing a no-Cochrane review, probably this is the best place where to register your protocol. Or you can also publish a protocol in a journal. Many journals nowadays are accepting the publication of protocols of systematic reviews. To have a protocol is very important, to have clear ideas since the very beginning, to avoid errors, to be transparent, to check that maybe other people are not doing the same review, and also to avoid intellectual bias, not to avoid, but to minimize at least, because it might be for each of us that we start a scientific project, might be a review, might be another study, with a specific idea that that intervention definitely will improve health. And then there is a high risk that we conduct analysis or interpret the findings in a way that is not completely adequate, because we are affected by our positive or negative prejudices about that intervention in that population. So this is a very good reason why we need always a protocol registered or published before we start doing the full review. So a protocol, of course, consists of background and methods, and then not results because they're not available yet. Cochrane reviews are known to have a higher methodological standards than non-Cochrane reviews. You can find many publications showing this. However, also in Cochrane, sometimes things go wrong, of course. And this is an example of a Cochrane review which was first published in 2016, and then it was withdrawn from publication. It was withdrawn because of a methodological problem in this review. And as you can see here on the side comment, this I think is a nice feature in Cochrane that everyone can comment, and this has been there for many years in Cochrane. Everyone can comment about any published Cochrane protocol or Cochrane reviews. And these comments are very useful to detect, for example, problems like in this case, or to further improve, because a Cochrane review is published and then is updated. So it's very important that every Cochrane review, if the topic is still relevant, needs an update. The example we saw before, sorry, go back a second here, it's not necessary to run an update of the systematic review because we know that this drug works. But in most cases, it's necessary to run an update of a systematic review, because if now, January 2023, we do an excellent systematic review, and every year there are 2-3 new studies or more, this review will be excellent today, pretty good in 6 months, and some people already next year might say, okay, but this was January 2023, now it's 2024, which is the evidence. So that's why it's very important to run updates of the systematic review. Yes, I would. This we published just a few moments ago, at the end of last year, the end of 2022, and the topic is very specific, but so we're not going into the detail of the inclusion criteria or the population in the systematic review. I want to focus about a specific study which we identified when doing this systematic review. We found one study where that was matching in our population, our intervention, and so on. But we were surprised because they wrote within a randomized trial, 46 and 159 infants were assigned to the intervention control group respectively. These numbers are strange. Probably most of you are familiar with what the randomization process is. In most cases, a randomization one-to-one, which means that you have about 50%. If you have two groups only, you have about 50% in one group and about 50% in the other group. If you have, for example, 100 infants in total, it can be, I don't know, 48 and 52, for example, or 50-50, or these numbers are strange. So sometimes people do studies, randomized trials, say, okay, we randomize 2 to 1, for example, about 60% go to the registry group, about 33% go to the control group, which is fine. But here, these numbers are really strange. It's not 1 to 2, it's not 1 to 3, it's not 1 to 4. So we became curious, we authored this Cochrane review. That's why I sent an email to the author of this published study. So this was my email. Asking for explanation, a bit critical perhaps, and this was the reply from the author of the study, which is I don't know how to say that, maybe tragicomic. I mean, this can make me laugh because you're flipping a coin in the air more than 200 times and you don't realize that you have such unbalanced distribution of the numbers. I mean, either you have a very bad coin or you are, I don't know, it's very unlikely, right? So it make me laugh, but also make me sad and worried because, wow, what happened? This study must be really some big problems here. So when I got this answer, I spoke, of course, with the other author of this Cochrane review, and then I wrote to the editor-in-chief where this study was published. So I am the author of the Cochrane review, not the author of this trial with the strange numbers. Yeah, so I wrote to the editor-in-chief saying that, I calculated what is the chance that you have 46 in one group and 150 in the other. This is the probability. So almost impossible, right? And so it's very difficult to believe that this really happens. So of course, I was informing Cochrane centrally, the research integrity team in Cochrane, the practice watch, and we had, a few emails between me, the editor-in-chief, and so on. So now I will skip it because I see it's a bit late now. After discussing, anyway, they decided that they just changed. Sorry, go back one slide. They only change is here. They substitute the term randomization with a single center prospective observational study. So it could be different. So it's not that the patient were randomized, so same basically into groups, but it was the clinician deciding if to give the drug or placebo based on the symptoms. A completely different study. Okay, still interesting, but please don't call it randomized trial because it will be mislead people. So the solution from the editor-in-chief beginning was just to change one word, to remove randomization and to replace it with this. I completely disagreed, and that means this is not acceptable, and I said this is not fine at all. And at the end, fortunately, they completely changed the article. So they did a correction, which is available online, the 2019, which is the wrong one, the 2021, which is the corrected one, where finally they explain correctly that so they change the methods, the results, the discussion, the after, everything. So this is observational study. So when we do a systematic review, Cochrane or non-Cochrane, doesn't matter, but we need to keep our eyes open, to be critical. To be critical, not against the people, but of course critical against the papers, the studies, because we cannot just trust everything which is published. This is a big problem everywhere, not just in a few countries. And so the trustworthiness of such a study for me is zero. So let's say that I do a systematic review of observational studies, I will have problem to trust one single word from this study. Because if they first say, look, guys, this is randomized, and then after some pressure from me and others, they publish it again. Sorry, this was observational. Is this is something probably fraud, and so that's why it's important to be critical, because echo can have a strong impact, as we said before. It is cited, is using guidelines, is used by clinicians. So if we do this Cochrane review and we don't understand that something went wrong in the study, the damage will be even worse, because of the impact of Cochrane reviews will help to spread fake news, to spread fake results.